beautiful people. It's your girl, Chrissy Mack, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the kidney transplant process. So I have a special guest. We're going to be talking about understanding like just the basics, some fundraising, Q&A, and we're just going to connect. So today I am bringing on Latiya Stanley. She is a nephrology social worker for one of the largest dialysis companies. She's ranking for having the most transplanted patients in any clinic in Georgia, which is amazing. So in my eyes, she is an expert on getting people to the transplant list. So today, Latiya generously is joining us today to share her insight and experience on the kidney transplant process. All right, guys, give your hand to Latiya. Hey,
Hi
how are
everybody.
you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How you
Awesome,
guys? How you
awesome.
feeling?
I'm doing good. So,
Good.
you told me that you were a social worker. Like, why? Tell me a little bit about yourself, like your story. How did you get into that to helping people get on the transplant list?
So my social work story actually started in like homelessness services. Then I started foster care services. And then I just kind of landed in healthcare. It was a little intimidating at first because, when you're in the doctor's office, they be using big words and clonidines and all these other deans and zines. And I was like, can I do this? But dialysis was a little personal to me because my mom was on dialysis before she passed. And so I supported her a little bit, but at the time that she was diagnosed, I really didn't know a lot about kidney failure or dialysis.
Mhm.
Actually, I want to say about a year after she passed, I got a job in a dialysis clinic. So I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. I really feel like it was her intervening, like, girl, you need to get in here. So I got in here, I started learning. And what really struck me, the first thing that struck me was that everybody in this clinic looks like me. It's 99.9% of my patient population are Black and Brown people. And that's inclusive of Hispanic people as well. And I was really shocked, like, that everyone in here could be my cousins. And it was a little saddened. I was a little saddened by it. So as I started to grow, one of the things I learned was that there are two treatments for end stage kidney disease. It's dialysis or it's transplant. That's it. Those are really your two options because once your kidney has failed, um, you can't just like hook it up and give it a jump and it'll come back. And so you either are going to be on these machines with people poking and prodding at you, or you're going to get a new kidney and get a second chance at life. And so once I learned that, something just clicked internally, like, okay, I need to get as many kidneys as possible. I need to get as many people transplanted as possible, people who are young, who are able-bodied, who can survive a transplant. You get a kidney. That was like my framework. And so I work closely with Piedmont, Emory, Vanderbilt in Tennessee, Erlanger. I refer people all over the place. Basically, if you are within 7 hours driving, you can be referred to that transplant center. And so we have just been rocking. I've had to raise my voice a little bit sometimes, but overall, this year we got 10 people transplanted with kidneys. One person got a kidney and a pancreas, which was
Wow, that's
amazing.
amazing.
And that's more than any clinic in Georgia. Uh, the others aren't even close.
Oh, wow. So you guys are definitely doing something at your location to help your patients. Like they're listening to you. They're obviously following a plan. Like you sent, first of all, I want to say thank you so much. You created this transplant cheat sheet for my
Yes.
community and I posted it into the YouTube channel just
Mhm.
for some guidance. Like
Mhm.
we need to go over this because people need to understand the process of What does it take to get a transplant? Because it's not easy. I've
It's,
been there, and it takes a lot of steps. But your role as the social worker is to guide them and make sure like they get everything done so they can get on that list.
so technically, that's not my role.
Oh.
My role is to refer them for transplant, and then
Oh.
I have done my job ultimately.
Okay.
But the extra things that I do and also that my team does is what has made the difference of getting them on there. So, people might go back to their clinics and be like, hey, social worker, you're not doing your job. So technically, it's not. And for whatever reason, it's not incentivized. Like, we don't get any extra money for getting people transplanted. We're actually taking patients out of their practice in their clinics. So
Hmm.
it's not something that I'm not saying it's discouraged, but we're definitely not being encouraged to get people transplant. This is something that's really like a personal project of mine. I want to get as many people off of dialysis as possible. And so the blueprints, the transplant cheat sheet is helpful. It's just like 6 key kind of steps. And let me say this, it is not easy. This process is not easy. No one can do it by themselves. So if you know someone who is on dialysis or in this process, please call them. Lend a hand, take them to an appointment, something, because 3 hours of treatment on a dialysis machine really wrecks you. People are exhausted when they get off. They are physically weak. They can be nauseous. They can be dizzy. And then the next day, they're trying to recover and get their strength back. It's really hard for actual patients to get through the transplant process. So they need a care partner. So if you know someone, you got a little time, one day, one week, lend some time. Like, time is valuable for these people.
I
Um,
completely agree with you because it's tough. Like, even for me, I think I was going for about 3 or 3.5 hours roughly. And
mhm.
my husband was my caregiver. He was at every appointment. I mean, think about all the testing we had to
Yeah.
do. We had to go through so much testing, psychology, doing the
Yes.
EKGs, going to get just even pap smear and dental work. Like, it was
Everything.
so much, but I took it and I ran. But I had his help because,
Right.
again, you're going through dialysis and it's so mentally draining and taxing on your body. You need somebody to drag you to say, come
Yes.
on, you got to get to these appointments. I need you to wake up. Make sure
Right.
that you eat, make sure that you get yourself together because you're so sluggish and you're going so slow and, just
Right.
so much going on in life. So you are right. You cannot do this
You-
by yourself.
And so many people exist in this world alone. So many of my patients I see are like isolated from family for whatever reason, for multiple reasons. But I just know, like, just thinking I could have done more to help my mom through the process. If I knew how taxing dialysis was, I would have done more. But I didn't know. I'm thinking, oh, you get a diagnosis, you get treatment, you're good, just like any other disease. But dialysis and renal disease are not like other diseases. It's like, you get cancer, you might go get a little chemo and you might feel better once the cancer is gone. With this, there is no gone. Like, your
Nope.
kidneys have died and your body is slowly shutting down. Dialysis gives you a little bit more time, but overall, your body is ultimately shutting down.
Yep.
And so, any help that anybody can give someone on uh, with renal disease, it would be appreciated.
I
But so,
always appreciate the ones who actually like try. They come on and they're trying to say, "Hey, my parents." I get a lot of those on my YouTube channel. "Hey,
yeah,
my mom just got diagnosed, or my dad or my grandpa, and I'm their caregiver. Like, I'm trying to learn this." The fact
yeah,
that you're actually taking the time to research, contact, email me or whoever else to get the help your parents need is amazing. I give kudos to all of the caregivers. I don't think they get credit enough for as much as they do.
yeah. Caregivers need a day because it's not easy. It's not easy for the patient. It's not easy for the family or the caregiver either. It's a really difficult disease, and I think a third of the population is at risk of renal disease. So it's a huge amount of people. I'm pretty sure everybody knows somebody that's struggling with either they have full on renal failure or they have acute kidney injury, which is like the early stages, like your kidneys are starting to shut down. I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure everybody knows somebody that's struggling with it. And a lot of people struggle in silence,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
but you know what it is too? I want people to realize the two number reasons why people are end up here is high blood pressure and diabetes.
And
Okay?
diabetes, those two are cousins. They like cousins.
Exactly. So don't
Most
think, "Oh,
people
I'm
have
young, this can't happen to me." I was young, but I did not deal with that. I dealt with the lupus. And so
mhm.
that's what took down, and
And
then the pregnancy and everything took down. But the two main reasons is diabetes and high blood pressure. You need to be
those are
going
the
to the
number
doctor.
one causes. Those are
Yeah,
the
they
number one causes.
correct.
Hmm.
So they need to make sure they're constantly getting checked up and just doing the necessary stuff to lose the weight, work out, do whatever you need to do because I don't want to see anybody end up on this.
And
So,
some of my patients are as young as 30. Well, I've had the youngest patient I've had is like 29. And they, some people are here for lupus.
yep,
Some people have hereditary kidney diseases. Um, but most people are here because of diabetes and high blood pressure. Those are preventable diseases. That's
say
the
it
part that
again.
they are preventable. You don't have to get it because your mama had it or because your grandmama had it or your granddaddy. You can prevent, you can stop it right here. Like, we're not getting that. Those are preventable diet diseases, meaning what you eat and then what you do after you eat is either going to, encourage diabetes
Mhm.
and high blood pressure or it's going to prevent it. As simple as that. That's the big formula. What you eat and what you do. That's it.
Exactly. So
So
on
yeah.
your cheat sheet, right, I saw you started with ask. So you said to ask your social worker to submit a referral.
Right. And we have a hard time asking for help sometimes. I have people come in
Yeah.
here, get their treatment, leave. They never want to talk to me. I'm like, I have one job, and that's to help you. That's the only reason that I'm in this building is to help improve your quality of life while you're on dialysis. So if something comes up, you late on a light bill, you need some extra food, you getting medical bills, ask your social worker. That is their job.
Yep.
And I
Just
put
to
ask
help.
really big. Ask for help. It's okay. You can't do it by yourself. You have
Nope.
to ask for help, you
Yep.
know?
I remember my social worker used to come around all the time, and I'm like, I was almost like ready to put my blanket over my head because I didn't want to
Yes.
be bothered because you're going through so much. The last thing I want to do is talk to you. That's how I
Right.
used to feel until I warmed up to her, and she was amazing. Like, she would sit down, we will talk, she give me resources, she'll tell me what I need to do. And
Mhm.
once I let somebody in, it was so much easier after that.
See? Good.
But you got to trust.
I had someone say that the only thing social workers do is walk around with clipboards. I
Oh
know
my
that's
goodness.
I changed her opinion on social workers because not all social workers are made the same, honey. So
Yes. So
I
after they ask you, what should they do
Mhm.
next according to your cheat sheet?
So the first thing, next would be so after they ask for the referral, the social worker would put in a referral, blah blah blah. If your social worker doesn't do that, cool. You can just call the transplant center and say, I want to be evaluated for a transplant.
Okay.
Right. So that's really what we're doing. We're referring them to be evaluated. Right.
Okay.
Some people think when you refer, boom, I'm on the list for transplant.
No.
I don't have access to kidneys to just be giving you kidneys. So I'm referring you to be evaluated. The next thing you're going to do is attend the evaluation, right? And you're going to have to bring a care partner. Most transplant centers want you to bring someone with you because it is a all day process.
Hmm.
Like you said, they are going to evaluate you. I tell people from your hair follicles to your toenails. They are looking in and out everywhere because unfortunately, people don't go to their primary care physician to get physicals every year.
Yep.
So some people discover cancer, some people discover other issues in this evaluation. So they are going to basically test everything. They want to make sure that your body, not just the renal disease, but that your body is strong enough to survive a transplant surgery. So they need to make sure that everything else. That's why they do dental, because some dental work can cause abscesses. It can cause other problems. Sometimes they check your eyes. They're gonna check your heart. They're going to check in your abdomen, do a scan to make sure that there's space for the kidney or what size. They're going to check everything, okay?
You're right. I
It's
did all of those
uncoded
tests.
pattern. Yes.
But they give
But
you the list.
they do so, and so after you go to an evaluation, you're going to do the orientation, blah, blah, blah. You go to the evaluation. About a week, I always say 2 weeks to a month. I give it 30 days, right? After that, they're going to send you a letter. It's going to say one of three things. You're not a candidate, period, because of something they found that has maybe the benefits of transplant, or the harm outweighs the benefits of transplant. They'll just say that, like, and that could be calcification, which comes from having really high phosphorus. It turns basically your organs into stone, and so like the blood is not able to travel through your veins if your heart is turned into stone, right? Or they might have found cancer, and they'll say, "Hey, go get that checked out." So that'll be one. They'll say immediately you're not a candidate. The other option, which is the best, is that they'll say, you're a candidate, but we want you to get these tests done. And most of those tests are the annual tests you're supposed to be getting done with your PCP, your pap smear, your mammogram, your colonoscopy. You're supposed to be going to the dentist every 6 months to get a checkup.
Yeah.
So if they don't have a record, or if you don't have results that has been done within the last year, then they're going to send you for that. That's your to-do list. They're going to have you check with your insurance to see if the post-transplant medications, what your copay will be, because what's the point of doing a surgery if you can't afford the medications after?
I
So you got to
agree.
make sure your insurance is active. Make sure you got the right combination so that you're not paying high copays, right? And then that's it. They say 30 days, 30 to 90 days.
You could
If
do
you
it
take a
faster.
little Yeah, if you get those tests done a little longer, but you're sending them results, then okay, they don't trip. But if you fall off the face of the planet and you don't speak to them for 90 days, they will close your referral and move on to the next person. Your referral has just died.
I feel
You
like you
know,
should be so serious about this. I remember when they gave me that list, I promise you, I got everything done in 2 weeks or less. The lady was so shocked because I went and I got every test. And some of the tests, just because I was dealing a lot with the lupus, I had
mhm,
already had a lot of the tests and it was still valid because it was within that time frame. So I just
exactly.
called my doctor, had everything referred out to them. So I was pounding my pursing because every time I'm like, my tests are in. What's next? What's next?
Yes.
Because people say, oh, we'll get back to you. But what I noticed is that they got a lot on their plate and you're just a
Mhm.
number. So I
Right.
started bugging the hell out of this lady. She was like, yes, Chrissy, we know. We got your when? Because I
Yes.
was in pain. I was crying all the time in dialysis. I couldn't take it a day longer. I need you to get me on the list. I didn't know how I was going to get a kidney. Neither did I know my brother was going to save me, right? But I was
Right.
just doing everything possible because back then, well, they was telling me, "Oh, well it could take you up to 8 years." I'm like, "8 years? I can't
Yeah.
do this for 8 years. We need to find me a kidney right now."
Yeah.
So, I
And
was
that's good. That's what we hope. But everybody doesn't have that energy, right? Some people are not as uncomfortable on dialysis as we would expect. Like for me, yeah, I don't know if I could do this 3 times a week. I don't even like needles, so I know I don't want anybody
yes, that
poking
was the
me.
hard part.
But, so and then some people, what I've experienced, just when they get that list, it's like this kind of feeling of defeatism. Like they wanted the list to say, "You get a kidney." And that's it. And it's like, oh, I got to do something else. And it's like, yeah, we really like this is a major surgery, right? That's one. Two, we are taking an organ from somebody and putting it in your body. They want to make sure that you are going to be compliant with what needs to be done
Yeah.
after, because we're basically choosing to give you life over somebody else. So yeah, you got to get these tests done. You got to get this checked out. Some of it is a test of endurance, right? Like, are you going to follow through and protect this kidney that we're giving you. I think, so some of it is just a test.
Yeah, it
But
shows you like, do you really want this? How
yeah,
bad do you want this? Because you're gonna have to work for it. It's
you
not
are.
handed out at all. You're gonna have to work
Yeah.
for it.
And most of the people I've experienced who are on the waiting list for a long time are not really even on the waiting list. They've just been referred and they've taken so long to do the tests.
Yep.
Like some people think once you've been referred, you do the evaluation. I'm on the list. You're not on the list. Your referral, oh, that's number 3. Complete all required testing. Your referral will not move until you have completed everything. You're not even on the list. If a match came up for you, they would not call you if you do not complete every single thing on the list.
Absolutely. And you know what? Another one that I see a lot people struggle with is
Hmm.
the weight, right?
Hmm.
Because so many people, they just kind of get defeated in a way because they're like, man, I got to lose all this weight. They're having a hard time. They're not able to lose it. And they kind of seem like it's not to say that they give up, but they're just kind of lackadaisical about it. And for my situation, it was opposite. My
Yeah.
doctor looked at me. She said, no, you need to gain weight. You want
Yeah.
this kidney? She was like, we will stop all of this right now. But it wasn't my fault. I was throwing up left and right. I show that journey throughout my whole YouTube channel. Like, I was just vomiting constantly. I was nauseous. And it wasn't that I was trying to lose weight, but my body just could not hold anything down. And she said, listen, you better gain weight or you're not going to get a kidney.
I've
And I was
seen
like,
that.
I need to get a kidney. I'm trying to eat. I don't know. I'm trying. I was like, do I take Ensure? Do I do this? But I didn't do certain things because of the milk with the lupus and
Yeah.
dairy. That was a mess. But I was really afraid. I'm like, there's people out here trying to lose weight. Y'all trying to tell me to gain weight.
Yeah. I
So
had a
it was a
patient.
battle.
He needed to gain 4 pounds. That was the only thing holding him back. He was really tall, really slim, and we worked for months changing his medication. The doctor was giving him stuff to increase appetite, and he would not, like, his weight would not move. And finally, the doctor who she just like wrote to the transplant surgeon and just advocated on his behalf. Like, all of his other labs were great. Everything else was perfect. And I guess they made an exception and he got transplanted. Because it was 4 pounds. It wasn't like 10 pounds,
I
15
know. I
pounds.
think I had to gain like 5 or something like that. It
Yeah,
wasn't much. I'm like, it's just a little bit, but they did not care. They were strict. They
they
want to
were.
know that you're going to take care of this kidney. You're not going to just wither away. Like, you have to be strong enough
Right.
to withstand that. And now I understand because once I got the transplant, I end up losing more weight after the transplant. So I went in and I think I lost another like 10 pounds by the time I left. I
Yeah.
honestly left the hospital. I left Emory at 100 and I want to say 3 pounds.
Yeah.
I went
Wow.
down. I didn't
Yeah.
look nothing like I look today. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that transplant saved my life. This is why I'm so strong with people trying to get, if you're eligible to get on this list
Yeah.
because it will change your life. Now, don't get me wrong. Transplant has its ups and downs and its roller coasters, but it's nothing like
Yeah.
dialysis.
I
Nothing.
agree. And I like for people just coming into dialysis, like if you are young, you are able bodied, your labs are still kind of good, you should be working on transplant because the reality of dialysis is most people do not get stronger the longer they're on dialysis. So it's really important like to get on that list, get through the process while you're young, while you're able bodied, and then you're just waiting it out. But I see a lot of people come, they're on dialysis for 5 years. They start feeling bad, like it's starting to hit them now. Now they want to try. Now it's like, oh, I can't do dialysis. I got to get a transplant. And it's like, girl,
Why
I
did you
don't know.
wait so long?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to,
Yes.
unfortunately. So I definitely encourage people, if you're definitely if you're young, if you still have some strength, in your body, your labs are good, get on that list
Yes.
because you're going to have to wait a couple years anyway. So, and you don't get stronger on dialysis. It's not the kind of treatment where you come get a dose and now, oh, I'm back. I feel normal. It's not. It's not that kind of treatment.
It's not
It's
at all.
it's keeping your body from completely shutting down. So it's giving you a little bit more life, a little bit more time. It's like palliative care.
Yeah.
It's just an extension. I had a doctor say this is life sustaining treatment. Like we're just keeping you alive a little longer.
Until you can
And
fight
that's the
again.
reality. We
Yeah.
have to like view dialysis in a different way. It's not like a vitamin.
Yeah. And
Because
some
I
people
have
got to
some
hear
patients
that.
who are like, I'm just going to come like Monday and Wednesday because I only need like a couple doses. No, ma'am. It's
It
not like
doesn't
that.
work that way.
It
But you
doesn't.
know what? That leads up to the next one that you just have. Follow your treatment plan. And I know it's a coincidence that you said that, but
Look
it's
at that.
true. You cannot miss. Listen, I was so scared to miss any treatments or shorten my treatments because they used to threaten. Because, sometimes it's hard. And I'm like, listen, I can't go no more. I am tired. The lady's like, well, if you don't go, I'm going to write this down and put it in your book and I'm not being compliant. I was
Yep,
like,
girl.
you can't. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because
Yeah.
I'm struggling, but I had to push through it. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, can you just lower down the dosage so it's not so powerful? They will
Right.
make adjustments and do whatever they
Take it
need
to
to, but you
your time.
need to finish that treatment because
Yeah.
you won't once you say you're not compliant, they're not giving
Yeah.
you a
Oh,
kidney.
yeah. I know for a fact, Piedmont Transplant Center, if you have one absence in 6 months, you're not compliant. They'll be like, come
Wow.
back in 6 months. Come back
Wow.
and you have 6 months of perfect attendance. No mistreatment, no shortened treatment. And the reason I think it's very harsh. So I think perfection for 6 months is really harsh. But the reason is like after transplant, there's a lot that you have to be compliant with. You have to take medications for the rest of your life. You have to come and check and still meet with a nephrologist. You have appointments, you have like there's a lot of follow up after the transplant. And if you're not compliant right now with this life sustaining treatment, they don't feel like you're going to be compliant with the treatment plan for this kidney. And it's like, why would I give a kidney to you, if you're not going to take care of it? So that's what they looked at. Now,
I would
I
say
think
follow.
perfect,
I want
perfect
to say
attendance.
this before we
Hmm.
move to the next one is follow your treatment plan,
Yeah,
but be your own advocate,
I
right?
agree.
Listen to your body. And if something is not right, speak up.
Right.
Question everything. Okay.
Talk.
Why are you giving me that? Why are you giving me that shot? What is that going to do to me? I was a type that I think my nurses probably hated me at some point because you're not going to just stick me with anything. You're not going to tell me to
Yeah.
just take anything without explaining it to
Right.
me. Right.
Yes,
So
I agree.
my situation was a little bit different because a lot of people say, oh, you're phosphorus, this, that. Mine was perfect. I never had an issue with phosphorus. So I kind of gave them a hard time on the binders. That was just me though. That's my situation. Because people are like, you
Right.
never took it? No, I didn't. Because I didn't have to. I didn't feel like I
Yeah.
needed to because it didn't make sense. You told me that if this, I'm supposed to take this because of this. I never had any of those issues. So I was an advocate for my own health. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying, listen to your body. If you're not, I lost 3 people to
Yeah.
dialysis, right? And I do not want to see anybody else go down this path. So
Yeah.
even though you're trying to get on that list, you still speak up and you still make people listen to you.
I
Sorry, go
agree.
ahead.
I know, I 100% agree. Like you should be a active participant in your treatment. If they are using words that you don't understand, hey, make it plain for me. Can you explain it to me like I'm a 2 year old? Because
Yep.
sometimes I'm in the room and I have no idea what they're talking about. I will ask, oh, why is high potassium bad? Like what does that mean? Because they'll say, hey, your potassium's high. I'm gonna give you this to drop it down. And most patients are like, okay. Like, what? Why is it high? What's the danger? The truth is, if it gets too high, your heart can stop. So
Yep.
it's like sometimes people don't fully understand what's going on, and because of that, they can't really be active. It goes back to number one. Ask questions. Ask for help. Ask for clarification. The truth is, these buildings, these doctors, these nurses, these techs, all of their paychecks are coming from your health insurance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are billing health insurance every day for the treatments and the medicines that's being given to you. That means they work for you.
Correct.
They are part of your care team. Ask them if they need to slow down and explain it, then ask them to explain it. If they don't like explaining it, guess what? time for a new doctor.
Very
Because
true.
if you can't talk to me, if you can't take the time to talk to me about me, then you don't need to be a part of my care team.
Very
You know?
true.
So
I have
I think
somebody just chimed in. Jeff said, just got a kidney on the 4th. Very sore, right? Very
Woo!
sore still. BP is high as heck, but they're working on it. It
Okay.
is hard experience for sure.
Yeah.
So, yes, you are now getting a transplant. So your body's got to get adjusted to it. You got to get adjusted to the medications. It's a lot. It's going to be,
Yeah.
I honestly say for the first year, Jeff, you're going to be up and down. You're not
Yeah.
even going to know. One day you're going to think you're going and then you're going this way and it's all
Mhm.
over the place, but the doctors are trying to figure out what's the dosage. Like when I first got on, I was on Prograf. I don't take that anymore cuz I'm on the Bella, but I was on
Okay.
Prograf and they're constantly like, "Okay, take 4. No, take 3. Go this. Dude, it's so much." But you'll be okay. Better days are going to come. I'm telling you, just stick with it. Follow your plan. Keep speaking up if you're not feeling good. Let them know, but make sure that they're doing their job. But
Yes.
congratulations.
Yay, congrats. Definitely stay in communication with your care team. Keep track of your symptoms, keep track of what you eat in. But I agree with you. That first year, it's a year of firsts. So it's
Yep.
really just your body adjusting to these cocktail of medications, because sometimes that's what it is, a cocktail. And they, like you said, the doctors have to figure out which dosage, which medication works. Not every medication works for everybody.
Correct.
So definitely keep track of your symptoms and communicate that when you go to your appointments. Like, hey, when I took this, it made me really dizzy or it made me really nauseous and I don't want to eat. My hair's falling out. I don't like this. So communicate, definitely communicate. But
Yes.
congratulations on your new kidney. Make sure
Oh,
you name it. You got to name your kidney. Like, I think you should name it. Like, take care of him. Who can't, we gonna call him Junior or something, Jeff Junior. So
So what
definitely.
this one that's on your sheet, I
Mhm,
when I met you at the conference, this was mentioned and I
mhm.
had it says start fundraising now. I had no clue about this fundraising. I was so blown away. I'm like, so you're telling me I could have been fundraising and y'all could have
Girl,
matched my funds?
yes, match funds. That is the best news of like the day. Like, so I think Georgia Transplant Foundation, is it
Yes.
up to, I would say up to $10,000. So people will start GoFundMe pages. And because some programs will help you with like insurance premiums, and they'll give you money for like the cost of medications. But
Mhm.
there are a lot of other costs associated with having a major surgery. You might be out of work. Your caregiver might be out of work to help you because you can't take care of yourself after a surgery. So, guess what? Who's working? Who's paying the bills? That's what fundraising really helps with. Some people get transplanted out of state. For that first year, I think you have to go back for like
Yeah.
quarterly visits. Who's paying for that gas? Who's
Especially
paying
in the
for the hotel?
beginning. Ooh, that beginning
Right.
is
You
tough.
have to stay there for like a week. Who's paying for the hotel? So I definitely say once you are listed, girl, start fundraising. Start fundraising. But that goes back to number one. People don't like to ask for help. I have so many people that's like, I'm not going to ask people for money. Why? There's a lot of money out there. There are some people who have lots of extra leisure cash, and they might just love your story, tell your story, and they might just make a donation. But
Man,
the
I
best part is
wish.
that
I
Georgia Transplant Foundation will match
listen.
it.
Listen to this, guys. If you are in Georgia, she just told you who you need to see. You need
Georgia
to get
Transplant Foundation. Yes.
exactly. And they
They.
might have something like this in other states, but like she said, you have to ask.
Mhm.
I didn't ask because I didn't even know that was I didn't even know that was a thing. I
Yeah.
wish I would have known that because it was very expensive. Like going through that stuff, it's tough. You got gas, you got to do food. Your spouse is taking care of you 24/7, so you got to
Mhm.
drop down in like your work. It's a
Mhm.
lot that you deal with. It is not easy and it is not. It's very expensive. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
either, and I always tell people, you either pay now or pay later. So take care of your health. But Jeff, he said, you named it for me. I'll go with Junior. He's naming his kidney.
Jeff Jr. I love it.
I
Take
love
care of
it.
you. Take care
So
of him.
GoFundMe. We talked about the foundation. Is there anything else that you might know that they can do?
So, Georgia Transplant Foundation also has monthly Zooms where they are talking and sharing tips and resources about fundraising. It's like a fundraising, I want to say it's called Fundraising 101. And you could be from any state and just join and get the information and get tips. So I would definitely go on their website. They definitely do that once a month. It's pretty helpful.
I need to go on myself just so I can learn about it and come back and
Mhm.
explain it. Because even though we tell people to go, they're still not going to do it.
They're not.
Right. And it's sad because, like you said,
We
there's a
should.
lot of money out there and
Yeah.
you would be able to get your medications covered because you might think, like, oh, okay, I'm okay on dialysis right now. Somebody's covering. But guess what? It doesn't last that long after. You need to
No.
get your stuff together after the transplant. They might
Yes.
help you for a short period of time, but they're not going to help you forever.
Right. And then your caregiver,
Yep.
bills pile up. Also, they have a program for, I'm really like a Georgia Transplant Foundation cheerleader by day. Okay. Don't tell anybody, but they have another program for living donors too. Oh, girl, is that next on the,
Yes, it is.
oh
Find
my
a
goodness.
living
Literally
donor.
not looking at the way this thing is flowing organically. It's just divine intervention. We were meant to be here.
Yes.
But they have a program for so they have a program that
Mhm.
helps to find living donors.
Okay.
They have a program called, what is it, like a match or a pairing program for living donors. So
Hmm.
let's say you have a living donor, they get evaluated, they're a candidate, but they're not a match for you.
Pair
They will,
exchange.
right, they will match it to someone else, and then that someone will give you one. I think that is so genius.
It's
So we're just
amazing. When I found
throwing
out about that, I
kidneys.
was like, why aren't people doing this?
We're throwing kidneys all over the country. It's amazing.
However, as long as I get to live, I'm going to do
Mhm.
it.
I'll take
Right?
it.
I made a whole video on finding a living donor because some people are like, well, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm seeing people put billboards. I'm seeing people put it on the back of their car, on
Mhm.
news, getting on the news, giving your testimony. I've
Right.
seen people get kidneys from like weird things, like just
Yeah.
anything. They don't care, but you shouldn't care. You should be
Yeah.
out here just trying to get it. Walk around with t-shirts, hats, like
Right.
every and anything you would do to promote your business, you need to go
Mhm.
promote yourself.
Exactly, because it's life. So yes. And then you don't even have to, the living donor doesn't even have to be a relative. Sometimes people forget
Mm-mm.
that all the time. They could be a stranger. They just have to be a match. Like, so some people on their fundraising page, it'll be a link for people. If you're just a random person that wants to be evaluated and see if you're a match out there for someone, you can do that as well. And I know one thing people bring up a lot is like, what if I donate a kidney and then the kidney that I have fails and I need a kidney? Guess what? They got a special list just for living donors. If you donate a kidney and then one of your kidney fails, you are at the top of the list to get a kidney now. So
I
it's
did
not
not
like,
know that.
yeah, I mean, because it's like you donated your kidney and then the one you got failed. They have a specialist for living donors who need kidneys. You go right to the top of the list. They will not have you out here with no
That's
kidney.
amazing.
That is pretty dope.
That's probably the best news I've heard all day today.
I
I did
know.
not know that because sometimes,
Mhm,
even for myself, right? Low
mhm,
key, I'm nervous sometimes, right? But my brother's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm living. Because when he first said he would be my donor, I was like, well, man, my mom and dad, they only have us. So what is going to happen if something happens to him? Like, is
mhm.
he going to get a kidney? You know, my dad was like, well, I'm taking care of myself because I'm going to make sure he gets one. But not knowing that you go straight to the top of the
You
list.
can
Not
go to the
saying that's
top.
going to happen. So don't be
Yeah,
afraid to donate. You could live with one kidney. My brother is
you can live.
thriving.
Yeah, yeah, you can live with one kidney. Absolutely. Yeah,
But I didn't
but
know that. Thank you for sharing that. That was
I think,
very
I
insightful.
think
I think a
that's
lot of people, if you guys knew this, let me know. If not, comment below because I want to
yeah.
know like who knew about this because I can't be the only one that did not. Like I didn't know about that.
People have a really hard time in the living donor realm. They also, the Georgia Transplant Foundation, we're just going to do a show on the Georgia Transplant
We need
Foundation.
to.
This organization was actually started by a transplant recipient. And they have grown monumental. They have so many pre-transplant and post-transplant programs. We'll put that on the calendar. What did you
Yes.
say? Comment below if
Yes.
you want us to do a transplant foundation podcast. But they have so one of the other things they do for living donors is, let's say your living donor lives out of the state,
Mhm.
and they can do their tests at the transplant center closest to their home. And once they become a candidate, there's no wait list. There's no wait. When they're a candidate, they're a match. You schedule that thing like a C-section. You're like, we're getting it done
Wow.
on this Friday. I heard people like to do it in March because of March Madness, so they can recover and watch basketball or something, whatever. But you schedule it, but they now have to come to Georgia, right?
Mhm.
The Transplant Foundation has a living donor assistance program that will give them money to travel here, give them a little bit of money if they're like out of work for 2 weeks for the surgery, to help them with bills, whatever they need to come and donate to you. They help them with that. This place is awesome.
We definitely need to do one for living donors, like for people who are
Mhm.
considering and they just have some questions and they're
Yeah.
afraid, because that's what it is. Most of the time they want to donate, but they're unsure. They're
Yeah.
afraid, right? That's why I tried to do the video with my brother so people could get an understanding of why he did it, obviously, but how he feels, what's going on with him. And I do need to do that updated video because we're about to celebrate next month. I'm going to be celebrating my kidney anniversary. So it'll
How long?
be 4 years. Yes. Ask me where those 4 years went. I'm telling you, it went by so fast. I remember
Yeah.
making my first video walking through those halls and ringing that bell that they had to say, I made it.
I
I
mean,
got the transplant and I walked to the other
yeah.
side. And it was so amazing. I just
Yeah.
never forget that feeling. I went and I picked him up from his room. I'm like, come on, come walk with me. Because they wanted us up and they wanted us walking. So
Yeah.
he got up and we walked the halls and everybody's like, come on, you can do it. And we were walking slow too, because you're in pain. And
Right.
so we're like, come on, we got this, we got this. And we went and we rang that bell together. And I felt like that was yesterday. And we're
That's
coming up on 4 years. I'm so thankful for him because without him, this channel wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gotten to meet you. My kids probably wouldn't even have a mom because I was really going downhill
yeah.
fast.
It's not
That
easy.
lupus was no joke. And so the fact that he was like, at that time, and he has a daughter now. So I'm an
Yay!
auntie. Yes. She just turned 6 months. So he's
Nice.
now a father and so much, and his business is taking off. And it's just like, it's amazing to see how much growth has happened. And like I said, he is thriving with just one kidney. So don't
Yes.
be afraid. And he tells me all the time, I don't regret it. I wanted you here. I needed you. Like we had that relationship. So
Yeah.
he was like, no, you need to be here. Your boys need you. And at that time he didn't have kids, wasn't married, but still he did it and he has no regrets in
That's
doing it.
good. I think that's so awesome.
It was
I love
amazing.
that. I would love a living donor show. I want to watch. I'm going to be there
Yes,
like,
I think we do. I gotta call him. We live in two different states. So even
yeah.
from the beginning, right? Like we lived in two different states. I remember him coming up. I came out of my dialysis treatment, came home, and he came around the corner from my living room with the Emery packet in his hand to let me know that he did all his testing, he did everything, and we are good to go.
That is so
So
cool.
it was amazing. It was such a great experience.
And think about that. Like, I mean, just for him, like, that's an amazing thing to hold. Like, I saved my sister's life.
Yep.
Like,
Yes.
you gotta like give him a
Oh,
plaque.
trust me. He digs sometimes. He's like, listen, when I call you, you answer because I saved your life.
Exactly. That's gotta be good. That's gotta be good to be able to say that.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, too much.
you better give me that last piece of pie because I saved your life.
He will do it. He's that type. He will.
Yeah, that's so funny. I love
But
that.
do you have, I know you're busy and you took time
No,
out
no,
for
no.
us
We got some
today.
time. We got a little
Okay. So do
time.
you have any other like success stories that you
Let me
might want
see.
to share just to encourage
So
people?
I do have one thing that I want to stress because I've come up against this like barrier in my fight for transplant. Like I will tell you, I am what they call a tiger mom. So I am on the phone using my very stern Brooklyn voice sometimes to put my foot in people's behinds about, because there's a lot of documents, right? Like with all those tests they want you to do, you have to send the results. So let's say you're getting evaluated at Piedmont. If you get those tests done at Piedmont, great, because transplant could just look in the chart, get the stuff. Girl, you know how many times I have to call them? Like, they're like, we didn't get this result. She did it at Piedmont. Did you look in the chart? They're like, we'll look in the
Right.
chart and get back to you. And then it's like, oh, she did it. Yeah, I know. But so you definitely have to like be on them,
Yes.
right? If you get it done somewhere else, get your results physically from wherever you get it. Don't be afraid to ask for your results. Remember, they work for you. We have
Right.
paid them for this with your health insurance. So if you get a colonoscopy done, hey, can I get that printed in color? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Get that, send it to your transplant center. So
Yep.
that's one, just like following up, making sure they get the, don't just trust the doctor to say, hey, I'm going to send the result. That's cute. I would like you to do that, but I'd like a copy too. Feel empowered to say that. Okay. It's just paper. All right. So that's one. Two, and this is the biggest barrier, mental health.
Yes.
OMG.
Oh,
So
yes.
there's some whispers that some people in positions use mental health as a weapon to keep people of color out of the transplant process,
Mm-hmm.
because people of color are more likely to have mental health issues and least likely to have access to mental health treatment. So, my advice, if you do your evaluation, they're probably going to give you a 10-question survey.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a PHQ-9. You usually fill it out when you go to the doctor. It asks, have you lost interest or pleasure in anything over the last 2 weeks? Have you felt down, depressed, or hopeless? Have you had thoughts of suicide? And so that's just a survey to see if you have depressive symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is not at all a tool to diagnose someone with depression. But I have personally seen staff at certain transplant centers will give a person a 10 question and say, hey, you've got depression. We want you to get mental health for 6 months and then come back. If that happens to you, get a psych eval.
Yep.
Say, you know what? I'm going to get a psych eval, because two things. Nobody can diagnose you with depression after 10 questions.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. And two, only a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a licensed clinical social worker can diagnose someone.
Okay.
So if you're just talking to a regular social worker, she a LMSW, she can't diagnose you. She a transplant coordinator, she can't diagnose you. Okay, she's a RN, definitely cannot diagnose you. So if they say, hey, we think you have depression, you should get 6 months of mental health. You say, hey, I'd like to get a psych eval and I'd like to get a psychiatrist's opinion. Then you go in there and the psychiatrist will evaluate you for like an hour. It might be 2 sessions, sometimes 3. And their report, your eval on the last page will give recommendation, and it will say whether or not they think you should get therapy or not. If they say you shouldn't get therapy,
Mm-hmm.
take that to the transplant center and say, hey, my psychiatrist said I don't need therapy.
So
You
that
know,
trumps anything else that they have to say. So
exactly. If a
they need to.
psychiatrist is saying I don't need therapy, then my little transplant coordinator cannot demand therapy. You know what I mean?
Good. That's good information that you just
Yes.
gave to them, because there's probably somebody out here that's dealing with that right now, not knowing that all they have to do is just go get that
Just
evaluation done
like,
and it will
yeah.
trump whatever the coordinator or the social worker is saying. Because,
Now, if the
like I said, fight.
psychiatrist, yeah, if the psychiatrist say you need therapy,
That's
you might
different.
want to get some therapy, which is not bad. I think everybody benefits from therapy. It always helps. You ever know when you're struggling with something and you talk about it with someone, you feel lighter.
Yes.
That's what therapy is, you know. So some of the trauma we've experienced in our childhood and our lives that we just throw in our knapsack and keep going, sometimes you need someone to offload that with you. You know, so if he says you need therapy, go get some therapy. You know, now a psychiatrist has said it. There's nothing we can do about it. But
Good.
if the coordinator or someone, I had a situation like that where this woman completed everything in her evaluation. They said she needed 6 months of therapy based on this questionnaire. I had to call and get very stern with people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I found out, like, well, who diagnosed her with depression? They were like, oh, nobody. She did this questionnaire. And I had to re educate them. Hey, I was talking to a social worker and I'm like, hey, I'm a social worker. You're a social worker. I know I can't diagnose people. So I know you can't diagnose people. So I was like, well, did she get a psych eval done? And they were like, no. Okay, well, can we get one done? And they're like, oh, okay. So her evaluation had been sitting in the back of somebody's drawer for a year. It was a year when I got it.
Wow.
A year from when they told her she needed therapy. And she was like, I'm not doing that. She was working 2 jobs. She was doing home dialysis. She was like, I don't have time for that. And she disagreed. She was like, I don't need therapy. So it had been stuck for a year when I grabbed it.
Wow.
A month or two after I, got loud with those people, we got her a psych eval. The psychiatrist said she didn't need therapy. She got put on the waiting list a month later. She got a transplant 3 weeks after that.
Wow. Now
So
imagine that.
a
This
whole
lady
year
put
of
up a
her life
year of her life of suffering
had been
and
wasted.
pain. That is
Had been wasted.
crazy.
And this was the woman who said social workers don't do anything but hold
And look,
clipboards.
you did something for her, right? And I
Yeah, she
guarantee
was
you,
like,
she will never forget you for that. That
she's like,
is a
you
success
changed
story.
my yeah. She I saw her recently. She's doing good. It'll be 1 year in March for her. So she's thriving. It was a difficult road for her because it's not easy, but she's doing okay now. So
Yeah,
yes, so
somebody
I
said
will
that.
definitely
They said,
mental
"Hi,
health.
ladies. Hope you're well. Thanks. Thank you, lots.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
definitely mental health. And I get why some people there were some instances where people committed suicide after receiving a transplant. They struggled with depression and anxiety, and so I think that's probably why they're like, nope, if you have symptoms you need to get therapy. That's how they're protecting themselves. It's just not a well thought out plan, because the average person living in America needs, like, is struggling with some form of depression or anxiety. That's just life in America, right? Coming especially post pandemic, right? The average person of color is struggling with some levels of depression. Like, we all have some of these symptoms in our life every day. That's just normal. Not every person is unable to manage it, right?
Hmm.
Some people have a couple of days where they're blue and they're down, they don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just eat and watch TV all weekend. I'm not cleaning up. I ain't talking to nobody. That is normal, right? Not everybody is like down for 2 weeks. I'm not going to work. I'm not taking my medication. I'm not functioning. That's a different level of depression. And that person might need mental health intervention. They need medication intervention. But the average person is walking around anxious or depressed at some point in their day. And that's normal. It's okay. You have someone to talk to. You have checks and balances for how to pull yourself out. So not everybody needs therapy.
I
You know,
agree. Not everybody does, but I truly feel, and I was doing a video on this once, that I think the hospitals need to do a better job post kidney
mm,
transplant because
mm,
it's a lot. Right.
yeah.
And I felt like we didn't really have support. And for me, I told my hospital that, and she was like, my doctor understood. She's like, I wish we had more of that. I wish we had more help. Where I said, come on, we need people. We are going through a lot. First of all, we just came from dialysis, which was traumatic in its own.
Hmm.
Now we're trying to function, getting back out into the real world. We just, we're in pain. We're trying to manage the medications and go to all these appointments and just getting back in the root of things, the financial cost of everything. It's a lot.
Hmm.
And sometimes you need that outlet to speak and say what's going on. And my channel has been therapeutic for me because
Yeah.
I get on here, I talk about everything, I rant, I say what I want to say because it's my channel and I can do that. And like, I just felt like I want people, and there's other people that come on like, wow, I'm experiencing that just as well. And me helping other people has been helpful for me
Hmm.
through my journey.
And
So,
I agree. I mean, I think sharing is helpful. It's therapeutic to tell your story. Sometimes people experience trauma and they hold it in because it's like I don't even want to talk about it again because if I talk about it, I'm gonna feel it. Then I'm being here crying. I'm gonna be ready to slap somebody, But the truth is the retelling of your story is therapeutic. It takes away the power. Like the first couple of times, yeah, it might hurt, you might cry, but the more you tell it, the more you talk about it, the less power it has over you. And
yeah.
so I encourage, some people don't like sit down talk therapy, that's not their thing. But there are a lot of transplant groups. Piedmont has a monthly transplant group, and it's for pre and post. Sometimes it's good to talk to people who have been in your situation. It's good to hear other perspectives. Some people may be dealing with the same exact thing you're dealing with, and they may be dealing a different way. So you might learn something from that. Georgia Transplant Foundation, again, they have a monthly transplant group as well. And it's like no expert sitting in there telling y'all what to do. These are real people who have been in your shoes just talking about their experiences. And that's really, I went to one group and I thought I was going to be the expert in the group and I was just going to be spewing knowledge. And truthfully, we were all just sharing. I got to share some of my experience with my mom's progress. And it was therapeutic for me. I loved it. I was like, yeah, this was cool.
And I think they should put that together, right? Because we all know I got transplanted at Emory, right?
Okay.
And it's a little bit different. You don't get a packet or something like because Piedmont and Emory, they're in their own worlds, right?
Yeah.
So Emory never talks about Piedmont. They don't tell you what they have because they want you to stay here and do everything with them. So it's just
Yeah.
understandable. But at least if there's other foundations, like we were talking about
Hmm.
with the Georgia or whatever, tell that to the patients so we can
Yeah.
go out and get that help. Like
Yeah.
if I'm spilling and I'm telling you that, hey, I need help, I'm going through certain things, and you're not giving me any resources, like shame on you as a hospital, is how I feel.
Mhm.
I feel like, yes, we got to go out there and find it ourselves. But again, it's hard.
Mhm.
That
It
after
is.
transplant life is hard. And I'm about to go 4 years deep. And it's still
Yeah.
not easy some days, right? Some days you go in, you got to get blood work done, and you're like, can't breathe. Like, oh my God, what's my test result going to be? I hope it's still good. I hope nothing. Because you know what you're constantly thinking about post transplant? Am I going to
Yeah.
go into rejection? Am I
Oh.
going to lose this kidney? That is your number one fear. So
Hmm.
everything you do, every lab you take, whatever you're doing, it's the number one fear that you're fearing. And that's how I had to tell myself, you need to stop. I believe in God. Everything's going to be okay. I got my brother's kidney, which gave me a better shot at life because he was my, biological brother. And you need to just chill out and just know that God has you. And ever since
Yeah.
I did that, I've just been walking in peace now, and I'm
It's
not
good.
trying to stress about anything, and I'm doing better now, but I wasn't that great in the beginning. So this is
Right.
how I'm able to explain to people, like, get help. You see that there's other resources. Latiya's telling us all the different resources. These are things that I did not know coming
Yeah.
up. And as I'm learning, I'm now trying to share with everybody else so they don't have to go through those same mistakes.
Right. And that's, keep in mind the medication. The
Yeah.
medication, almost every medication gives you a higher risk for depression and anxiety. So some of those thoughts and feelings are you, and some of that is just the chemicals interacting in your body, right?
Very
So
true.
I mean, that's a real fear that it could, reject, because like they said at the seminar, I learned that the human body is designed to reject anything that it wasn't born with. Like, and so it's going to constantly be trying to reject this kidney that's been placed in you, which is why they give you the anti-rejection
Yep.
medication. But like I said, those medications have side effects, and depression and anxiety are a very common side effect for almost every medication. So yeah, having something in place to help you work out those thoughts and work out those feelings is always going to be better for your health. Keeping it in is like drinking poison. You gotta let it out. You gotta let
You
it out.
got to. So, guys, this was a great episode. I loved
Yeah,
everything, and I hope it was valuable and useful to everybody that's on here. If you want that transplant cheat sheet, all you have
yeah,
to do is go on my YouTube community tab. It's there for you guys, But Latiya, tell them like if they want to get in contact with you, is there any?
Yeah. So if you guys have more questions or I can give you any links and information I have, you can just message me on the Instagram page. It's Stanley Biz Services, I believe.
Yes. Yep, and I
B
have it right here
I.
listed below
Okay,
your
good.
picture so they can
Thank you.
go ahead and follow you
Yeah.
just as well. Make sure you're following both of us, just to keep
Yeah,
up to
we'll
date on
continue.
anything that's going on in the world right
We'll
now.
continue the conversation. And I have another cheat sheet, but it's for the Georgia Transplant Foundation. It's their financial assistance cheat sheet. So I'll share that with you and you can share it with them. So anyone that's in Georgia, these are all the money programs. So I'm a huge advocate of free money. Okay. If it's free
Exactly.
money out there, we gonna find it.
I
Okay.
mean, that's their job. They want to give away the money. So
Yes.
if you know that you need the assistance, why not?
Get
Why
that free
not?
money. Hmm. So I'll share that with you. You can share it with them as well.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would like to say before you head out today?
Good luck. Um, And just if you can and when you can, if you know someone struggling with end stage renal disease, help out however you can. Make them a meal, bring them some fresh produce, sit with them, watch a TV program, separate their meds into the pill sorter. Like there is so much that we could do. And I know life is so busy sometimes, and we're so busy, but you need people. So just help one another.
Thank
That's
you
it.
so much. I truly appreciate you coming on today. I'm going to let you go ahead. I'm going to finish up here on the live, but I'm going to let you go ahead. I know you got a lot of wrongs and patience to
Yeah.
help. So thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye. All right, guys. So thank you to Latiya for coming on today. That was an amazing live. We talked about everything, the kidney transplant. Like, that cheat sheet was golden. So the fact that she told us exactly what we needed to do, how we need to do it, handling the mental aspect of it, giving us some nuggets that I didn't even know about. It was amazing, guys. But like we said in the beginning of the video, dealing with high blood pressure, dealing with, diabetes. Oh, you welcome, Marie. Thank you. She said, thank you. You welcome. But it's a lot and you need to be keeping track. So, with that being said, guys, I came out with the Chrissy Mack Empowering Products. You guys already know that I have everything the devotionals, the journals, but this is a new line. This is the log books. So, this is the health log books. The first one we have is the diabetes and hypertension logbook, and you can log for 2 years in this. These all can be found on Amazon. And if you click the link in my bio, you'll be able to find that. Then we have the hypertension and vital signs for those that may not have diabetes, but you need to control your high blood pressure. You need to be tracking this. It's so important that we track everything because if you're not, when you go into these doctor's appointments, how do you know where you're at? How do you explain to your doctors? How do you know if you need to get off this medication, if you need a higher dose? You need to be keeping track. And the last one we have here is diabetes and vital signs. So I'm going to drop a link for that in the YouTube community just as well. But like I said, in my bio, underneath in the description of this video, you'll be able to get this or all three. And if you know someone, it's the holiday season, gift them this just as well because you care about their health and their well-being. So if you guys have questions, this is your time to comment below and let me know. You guys, like I said, I am so honored just to be that guide. I'm following what God asked me to do, which is to be here and to help those that are dealing with a chronic illness. Regardless if you're dealing with lupus, if you're dealing with kidney, I went through it all. Okay. I went through it all. And my goal is to save you so you don't have to go through this. So, again, I love you guys. I appreciate it. It doesn't look like we have any other questions here today. So, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video. And I will see you guys next time. See you guys.